How about Romeo Doubs? It's been a little slower. It was slower getting into the first few padded practices. Today, maybe a little better. Not necessarily any of those highlights, but some quick hitter, timing kind of routes, which is ultimately what he's here for. I don't think Romeo Doubs is necessarily here to throw him a bunch of deep balls, but also at a fumble. Tough to tell if he was frustrated with himself. I know some people think maybe he tweaked his ankle there. He did stay at practice, so...
He got taped up also.
He did get taped up? Yeah. Okay. I mean, you don't want to be fumbling in this setting, but did kind of get some of those chemistry throws down with Drake May today. Evan, I know you were maybe, I don't want to say worried about where Romeo Doubs was early on, but
I like to use small C concern.
Small C concern.
That's the Patriots.com way to put it.
Were you ready to trade him? I heard you guys got that call.
We did get that call, and not only did we have to explain how ridiculous that was for multiple reasons, but I thought Barth did a great job of outlining the contract, like the dead money in a trade.
It's what was it, like 20? You lose $28 million in cap on top of what he already cost you.
Yeah.
Hey, they got money to spend, baby.
I don't think they have that much.
Why not just
I don't think they have that much cap space.
After 3 days of training camp.
Good luck signing a free agent again for the next 10 years.
Yeah, it was good.
So they're not going to trade Romeo Doubs, obviously. But where are you at with him and Drake May? Are you still small C concerned? Was today a step in the right direction?
A little bit. I am, because I think with him specifically, a lot of his routes are going to take a lot of post-snap adjustments. Like, he's going to play inside a lot. A lot of those are option-heavy routes, and he's going to have to see it the same way as Drake May. And we have seen other receivers come here and struggle with that sort of thing.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, and it's different from the system he was in Green Bay, where they only really have, like, one choice route within the pattern and things like that at times. So I think it's just a different type of role. You know, in Green Bay, he's playing X, and that's not usually the way that they do it in that system at the X spot. So that was where my concerns were just with chemistry, and I thought maybe he was playing a little bit tentative or slow because he was trying to get the route correct and read the coverage correctly. Today, I thought it was a little bit better, maybe. I know he had a catch yesterday, I believe, in 7-on-7. I was watching the big boys, but I think that's...
he had a nice...
Fake
football.
Yeah, I did see it. We did post the video of it, so that was good. That was more what we saw maybe in Green Bay from him, catch point stuff. But that was my biggest concern with it, was I wasn't just seeing him just play fast and get separation. I thought that he was struggling a little bit with that.
Yeah, but today I did think you saw more of like the timing routes over the middle of the field, which is positive on that note. I think, 2 more catches in 7s and then 3 for 3. Drake's leading guy in terms of targets today in 11s with 3 more catches today. So maybe building some of that chemistry. He's starting to play a little bit faster, pick up this offense a little bit more. Now he's maybe starting to kind of turn that corner as well.
Taylor, where are you at with Doubs?
And during those 7-on-7s, notably, dig routes have been one place where Drake has tried to hit Romeo Doubs and they haven't had success. Today, he hit him twice during 7-on-7s. 2 short targets during team drills, but one I did notice that Doubs kind of settled between a couple of zone defenders, gave Drake May an outlet later in his progression. So I think there's steps in the right direction, but it wouldn't really move me off of how I feel necessarily. It's just, okay, now let's see if you can continue that momentum, because if he comes out and then it's another day where he's not really getting a target during competitive periods, that small C concern is probably going to stay right where it is.
One more wide receiver thought before we move on. Kayshon Boutte's reps have kind of dipped here the last couple of days. You're starting to see A.J. Brown get along. Maybe this was the first step for Romeo Doubs. We saw Kyle Williams get a snap with the ones today. It was incomplete. Did he take a bad route to the ball? Was it underthrown by Drake May? I know we were debating that, but at the end of the day, it didn't capitalize on it. Let's talk some wide receivers. Last time the 3 of us were together, we did one of these crossovers. How worried are you about A.J. Brown? The chemistry is still not there. What's going on? These last 3 days, he's taken over. He's been dominant. Had another great catch today, back shoulder timing, through contact against Christian Gonzalez. He's been good for a couple of those a day. Did he just get hot, or did they turn the corner?
I'd say they're beginning to turn a corner. I think when it comes to the short game, they weren't too far off from the beginning. I felt like, especially with A.J. Brown being such a big body, Drake being a pretty accurate short passer, they were fine there. And that translated, I thought, in the red zone, why they had such quick success. It was the downfield stuff where you started to see them being shaky. And some of that, like A.J. Brown drops the first target he has of the summer. Then there was that one day where they just seemed to be on completely different pages for a stretch. Now, the past couple of days, we're finally starting to see some of that come together. Yesterday, you had the play where A.J. Brown gets behind Christian Gonzalez for what had been a 50-yard touchdown. And then today, kind of similar to the first target that A.J. Brown saw this summer, back shoulder fade with Christian Gonzalez all over A.J. Brown, but he manages to bring it in that time. So I would say that this is what you want to start to see, especially 2 days in a row, maybe stacking some positive days in an area where they very much needed to start showing some signs of progress.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't going to be too concerned about A.J. Brown, probably even until the regular season rolls around, just because of the equity that he's built up in his career. But I think one of the things with a receiver like that, especially down the field, is a quarterback has to start building a trust to give him a chance on balls there. He might be wearing coverage, but he's going to win the ball at the catch point. I think Drake May has that rapport already with Kayshon Boutte, which is why you see him just kind of throw the ball up to Kayshon Boutte. Maybe that took a little bit of time, a couple practices where A.J. Brown can go back on the film with Drake May and say, hey, I'm going to catch it here. Like, you give me a chance on this play. I know it looks like I'm covered, but I'm not covered. If you put it right here, I'm going to make this play. I think those were the little adjustments that they had to make down the football field. And then we saw the double move on Christian Gonzalez. That's all over his Eagles tape from last year that he still separates really well. You know, he obviously people sitting on those hitches and slants and things like that, and he gets those double moves going. So he's not one of those guys that I think creates a ton of downfield separation anymore. So you kind of have to give him that 50-50 chance. With him, it's probably more like 75-25 or 80-20, and that's what Drake May is learning.
Especially when the pads come on, right? Like, that's when he started to shine. We know these big, physical wide receiver. Not really surprised they're starting to kind of turn that corner once the pads come on there. It's a scorching sports summer, and you can make all your picks on Prize Picks. The WNBA and baseball are heating up, and with big tennis slams and major golf tournaments on the horizon, there's no better place for all your summer sports picks than Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. We're getting into the WNBA this summer, and Prize Picks is helping us do it. The biggest stars in women's basketball are in the heart of their season, and there's no better place to run your game on the W than Prize Picks. We got MVPs raising their games to new heights in a rookie class, ready to take over, all while teams are fighting for playoff positioning. So make a lineup with player stats, pick game winners, spreads, or totals, and combine your picks in the same lineup, even cross sports. We got some preseason football coming up soon. We can put Tanner Arkin, Efton Chisholm, Len Larris, and all those guys in your Prize Picks lineup. We can go to baseball. We can go to the Red Sox, any other team you're looking for there to make an even bigger lineup and even bigger payout. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $150 instantly in lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code CLNS to get $150 instantly in lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. All over on Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app.
As this wide receiver room continues to shift, the other news today, Ricky Pearsall done for the season. That Kayshon Boutte trade talk's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I don't think the Patriots are just going to give Kayshon Boutte away. I don't. But somebody from this room's got to go. They're not going to carry 7. From what you've seen so far, and I think something that works the Patriots' advantage, they don't need to make this move until, what is it, like August, I think it's 28th, 29th, whatever cutdown day is. Yeah. They don't need to make this move till cutdown day. There's no reason, and Vrabel talked about just adding the competition in the room. There's no need to rush him off the team. Somebody gets hurt, now the math changes and maybe he stays, but like, where is the line with Kayshon Boutte for you? You know, is because I bring up Pearsall because this is the example that we've given about why you don't rush to do it. Is
Chiefs too?
Somebody's what?
Chiefs too.
Yeah,
today.
Chiefs have had a couple guys get banged up. Like, now I know Evan's against trading him to the Chiefs in general. We had this talk in the offseason, but
yes,
like,
I'm against trading him anywhere pretty much to any AFC contender. I'm out.
Okay, but you know, teams are going to get desperate. That price is going to go up. Where are you at with Kayshon Boutte, Brian? We'll start with you.
I'm fine with kind of playing that waiting game for now, but I do ultimately still think this probably ends with a trade. Just we've talked so much like his volume, and if he wants that payday, that's probably going to come elsewhere with A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs on the top of the depth chart right now. What we've seen the past few days, like Kyle Williams, again, he didn't connect with Drake today, but a couple really nice catches from Tommy DeVito today. He's kind of come alive. You know, love adding that speed element to the offense, like the incompletion from Drake today. like burn down the field, right? Burn this guy got open down the field. Like you like that element added to the offense. Even some of the other guys, Pop's been really active. Matt Collins got a touchdown the other day. Efton Chisholm still making some plays with the twos. Evan, I hope you're still on Chisholm Island with me this summer. Maybe you're leaning a little bit, but I think you've seen enough from the top guys now and the depth wide receivers behind them to still ultimately feel comfortable about eventually moving Kayshon here this summer.
Player for player trade aside, which I think should be on the table, but it's harder to do for the point of this discussion. Kyle Shanahan calls you. We need Kayshon Boutte. What's the price to get it done today?
Today?
Yeah.
Keon White?
Nice. I would say I'd probably take a 4th round pick and ask for a 3rd round pick. And if they
I'd say 3rd round pick to get it done today. 4th round, call me back on roster cuts.
If they had anything even close to broaching that amount of draft capital, he'd already be gone. They're right now they're getting offers for like 6th round picks that could become a 5th or a 5th round pick that could, whatever like that. They're not going to all of a sudden go from that, and because he had a couple good days of training camp, now they're going to get a 3rd round pick, no question. So I think you're already hoping that a 4th round pick just because of injuries around the league and stuff. Now, I don't love giving him to Kyle Shanahan either, because then we're going to hear about it for the next 10 years about how great he is.
It's fine. They got to play the
Francisco.
Rams twice a year.
But I think that's the biggest problem with Kayshon Boutte is if they had gotten an offer that they felt comfortable with to move him this offseason, I think he would already have been traded. So clearly they haven't gotten that offer yet. Has that offer got so much better that now they're going to get a 3rd or a 4th round pick? You mentioned Chisholm, Brian. I hate to say it. I am kind of looking for, are we really bending over backwards to keep Efton Chisholm? Like that's an honest question. Are we? Like I'm answering a question with a question.
I still like Efton.
Let me follow up on that, because they got to move somebody. So you're saying right now maybe like a 5th for Kayshon Boutte, right?
Yeah, but you're saying that you really need to keep Efton Chisholm.
Well, no. Here's my thing. You can trade Kayshon Boutte for a 5th or Efton Chisholm for a 7th. So you get more trading Boutte, but you give up the better player. Which one are you doing?
That's how it works.
Which one are you doing?
I don't know if you're getting a draft pick back for Efton Chisholm.
I think you could get a 7th for Efton Chisholm.
Okay.
On vibes alone.
We're going down this hypothetical.
I don't know if they're getting more than like offers for 6th and 7th round picks for Kayshon.
That's
Boutte.
fair.
I don't know. I don't think you're getting a draft pick for Efton
wrong?
Chisholm, but I don't know if you're getting him to the I could see someone offering him a 53-man roster spot if you just cut him. But a draft pick, I don't know.
No, he hasn't proven it.
Yeah.
Who? Just while we're doing these weird hypotheticals on this trade, because I think the Boutte situation is the most interesting thing in this camp right now, and what they're going to do with him. Who's worth more in terms of trade value, Kayshon Boutte right now or Matthew Judon 2 years ago? Judon obviously older, but premium positions, expiring contract.
That's a very weird question.
Definitely Judon back then.
Judon?
Like,
Well, just to set the ceiling on it.
I'm just confused because Karen Gregian reported that he asked for a trade in April. Kayshon Boutte, right? Yeah. We've all heard murmurings of Kayshon Boutte potentially getting traded at different pockets of the offseason. Don't you think that if they had had an offer on the table for Kayshon Boutte that made sense from a Patriot perspective, that he'd already be gone?
Yes.
Probably.
So that means that the offers that are out there are not good.
I mean, define what
Flat
makes sense.
out.
I think the offer that makes sense in May is different than the offer that makes sense in July. Or August.
But they're not getting either.
They're not getting either.
I guess I'm just confused as to
There
why
is value
we
in
think that-
waiting to trade him till you get to the end of camp.
Yes.
And kind of seeing what happens.
But that's the value is in waiting
Right.
for either the end of camp or the trade deadline, where somebody like Mohamed Sanu for a 2nd round pick gets desperate and gives you something that they shouldn't
Fair
give
enough.
you. Right? Like that's where the value is with him. I keep coming back to the same thing. I'm sorry to like pick on you, but like if they had an offer on the table for Kayshon Boutte that made sense from a Patriot perspective, they already would have taken it.
I agree with you on that. I guess my point and where I'm kind of fascinating in the whole Kayshon Boutte thing is they don't have that offer right now. But eventually something is going to have to give. Either the price goes down, they maybe get a little more because somebody gets desperate, or somebody else gets moved. And maybe some of those are more likely than the other, but I think all three of those are realistic outcomes.
Right, but I guess you can get into the conversation of roles and snaps and
Yeah.
things like that in the regular season. And
It's not him or Efton Chisholm. I get that. They play different positions.
Right, but more a question of like, is Kayshon Boutte comfortable with being like the third or fourth receiver in a contract year?
Right.
Right. I think that's a pretty big question from his side. Is he's looking at it and saying AJ Brown, Romeo Doubs, Pop is kind of his own thing that's different from what I do, so he's going to play a lot as like the speed slot. Am I a third guy? Am I a fourth guy here? Versus maybe in San Francisco I can be a 2 or a 3 there. So I think that's the question from his perspective. But I'm just surprised by the fact that we're kind of going out of our way to keep all 7 of these guys.
That's what I'm like. I think the least likely is they keep 7. That's the least likely outcome.
How do we feel about Mac Hollins? Because I think there's a certain level of energy and leadership he brings to the room, but I also think you can replace him. Like when you talk about his role on early downs, that's what AJ Brown did for the Eagles. And we've seen a lot of, obviously Kayshon's been in that equation, but we see him often lined up to the tight end side. He's bigger than Mac Hollins. And if you want to talk about, okay, an outside receiver who's very good, well, they also have guys that can replace him there. Even Efton Chisholm, I think, when he replaced Mac Hollins late in the season, he looked pretty good with the demeanor that he blocks with. Like, he's not bad. So outside of the energy and, you know, the specific kind of personality that Mac Hollins brings, I would be very comfortable moving on from him.
I think you can't replace 6'4", 225 at receiver. That's
What is AJ Brown?
6'1", 220.
I understand that, but he plays bigger than
Also,
Mac
do you
Hollins.
really
What
want
is Tanner
AJ?
Harkin?
A beast.
We're going to get Tanner Harkin in a second. Do you really want AJ Brown taking all that unnecessary contact?
So put Efton Chisholm in there if you just want somebody to block. Like, I think you can replace Mac Hollins as a blocker.
Evan, do you think there's any chance Mac Hollins is in here on the 53?
Okay, let me just put out this crazy scenario that I have been thinking about.
Okay.
Because I'm going hot takes on the wide receiver.
I'm going to reel this in a second. We're getting like really nuts here. I'm going to reel in a second.
No, I don't think this is really super nuts. Is there a world? So, as a younger player in the league, with first 4 years, you go on waivers.
Yeah.
Mac Hollins is way past that point of his career. We've seen more and more across the league that these vested veteran players don't make the initial 53-man roster, sign back on the practice squad, and then are elevated quickly. Like a guy goes on IR, whatever, creates open roster spot, whatever. Is it absolutely crazy? And again, I'm answering a question with a question. Is it absolutely crazy to say to Mac Hollins, we just want to protect the younger players that we have on the roster in Kyle Williams and Efton Chisholm, but we want you here. Like, don't go anywhere, right? And then we're going to figure out how to get you on the roster.
Kind of like Brandon Bolden treatment?
Yes.
Well, Brandon Bolden ended up in Miami.
He did end up in Miami.
Yeah, but where's Mac going to go?
I do think
It
you're
burned
asking
Belichick
any of these teams that need a receiver that you're not trading Kayshon Boutte to. The Niners, the Chiefs.
I'm just throwing it out there as an
we're
option.
talking about a situation where Kayshon would stay, right? Because if you're talking about keeping everyone,
No, you're
Yes.
doing this.
like,
this
I
is
would
to
rather keep
avoid-
Kayshon than Mac
Fair.
Hollins.
You're also asking him to. I think he'd be leaving a couple $1 million on the table if
If
you
he's
did that.
cut
Kayshon?
post June 1, it's 1.15 in dead money. They would save 4.4.
So what is
I
that
don't
in
know
real
how
cash?
I don't know how the
Like-
contract.
I'm
with
sure
them-
that
No, it's not
I'm
impossible.
sure they could make
They
Mac
could figure
Hollins
it out,
whole
yeah.
eventually. I that's just pure speculation on my part,
Yeah.
but just the way that the roster gymnastics work is that Kyle Williams and Efton Chisholm get exposed to waivers. And those two guys are, as a former third-round pick and a preseason hero, those guys are going to maybe have interested suitors on the waiver wire. Mac Hollins doesn't have to go through waivers. You can cut Mac Hollins, and he's a street free agent, and you can immediately sign him back to the practice squad or eventually to the 53-man roster. I think the one thing that Mac Hollins has on his side, besides the leadership and the things Taylor brought up, is obviously the versatility and the blocking ability. I don't know if you quite have that from other guys, but it's just a thought of a way to keep all these guys in the building. It might be a little bit of that. Belichick would have done something like that. Now, it's burned him. Like Brandon Bolden's a good example, right? Like it did eventually burn him at times, but that's what Belichick would have done. He would have been like, I'm keeping the younger guys for the protection, and then I'm going to find a way to get him back in the building.
And I will quickly say that Kayshon has done some of those like in-line-y type things that we've seen from Mac Hollins, where they would have packages where they would just condense everything, and you literally have Kayshon Boutte with his hands on his hips or his hands on his thighs in a blocking type stance. So there are guys that can do what Mac does. I mean, maybe my hot take on Mac is I think he's a little overrated as a blocker and underrated as a receiver. His ability to get open on digs, the chemistry he showed on some of those hole shots with Drake May last year, like that's where I think he's very valuable. There were times, honestly, as a blocker where he might miss his assignment. Sometimes you think of him as a guy who blocks like a tight end and he doesn't sustain quite as well. Not saying he's bad, but the way we talk about him is like he literally blocks like a tight end, and I don't think that's the case if we're talking about a consistent basis. So I just don't find him quite as difficult to get rid of outside of the intangibles.
No, that's fair. And look, blocking as a receiver is different than blocking as tight end.